This episode is brought to you by Tido. Tido provides managed integration services, EHR data migration archiving, workflow automation, and 24/7 monitoring to ensure seamless data exchange and improved operational efficiency. Dealing with capacity challenges in data or integration projects and operational optimization issues? Leverage Tido's AI-driven solutions to reduce costs and enhance patient care continuity. Ready to elevate your healthcare IT strategy? Visit thisweekhealth.com/Tito today and discover how Tito's innovative solutions can transform your organization. I'm Sarah Richardson, a principal here at This Week Health, where our mission is healthcare transformation powered by community. Welcome to this executive interview, candid conversations about leading with purpose. Let's connect. Welcome to This Week Health. I am Sarah Richardson, and today I am joined by Vik Patel, Chief Operating Officer at Tido. Vik is a seasoned leader in technology and operations, passionate about transforming the way that providers deliver care. And at Tido, Vik and his team are reimagining how health systems manage their IT infrastructure, streamline their operations, and focus on what matters most, patients. He's also been a friend of the show and an engaged partner with This Week Health, so I'm especially excited for today's conversation. Vik, welcome back. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's exciting. I know we see each other, every month, every other month, either online or in person, but hopefully in person very soon. But yeah, no, excited about doing this online executive interview with you. So let's get it started in this really busy UGM week. I know you might be in Wisconsin.
I am in Wisconsin, and while we're recording, by the time this airs, I have no idea where I'm going to be. That's half the fun. It could be its own game show for sure. But not everybody knows about Tido. So I want to hear the story behind the company and how you describe your mission in healthcare.
Sure. Our story really began in Kentucky at a hospital called Hardin Memorial Health, which is actually now part of Baptist Health. And when I worked there, I saw the challenges in health systems firsthand, but it's not just about capturing the information, but it's also making sure all the internal and external systems talk to each other and making use of data analytics, reporting, automation to reduce the burden on providers. So I started developing some solutions there, and I noticed how much interest there was, and that's how Tido was born. And actually, the health system became our first client, and they were gracious enough and they said, we will sign up for all your solutions. So that made it a little bit easier. But since then, we continue helping healthcare organizations throughout US, Canada, and the Caribbean, and even had a couple of small projects in Europe as well.
Most people don't know that it means this is done. That's how you came up with the name for the company. And so how do you make sure that your operational strategy stays aligned with solving some of the biggest pain points that you see with these health systems?
It starts with listening. You spend a lot of time with not just leaders, but even the frontline staff, the analysts, the clinical team members. You have to spend time with them to understand the challenges. And whether if it's integration related, if it's just the workflow related, you do have to listen. And I think that's where it starts from. And then from there, like our strategy has always been about keeping things more practical, right? Like reducing complexity, automating where we can, and then making sure that all patient care is not disrupted. At the end of the day, we do see ourselves as an extension of the IT team, and it keeps us focused on solving their problem.
And you work closely with the CIOs and also, to your point, the staff, the technology leaders, and you're always looking at who's doing the work, how much does it cost, how complex is all of this? What are some of the themes you're hearing most from your clients right now?
What I'm hearing most from the CIOs and the technology leaders, the biggest thing is all about doing more with less. I think this comes up more and more, the staffing shortages, the rising costs. So I think those are huge challenges. And the key to having the right solutions implemented in the right way, right? It's not just about, okay, let's put more technology on top of technology. So that's been our focus with every solution that we deliver. And that's why over more than 15 years now, we have been able to help organizations save more than $45 million.
It really is better, faster, cheaper. I've heard that my entire career. So now we keep hearing the do more with less. But that value prop for you is you make it better, you make it faster, you make it more affordable. And when you do those partnerships, what is one of your favorite stories about measurable impact and success with a client?
Yeah, I'll give you an example where we partner with our health system for Tido Connect, which is our managed integration solution, along with our Tido Monitor AI, which is our proactive monitoring solution. And before we implemented these solutions, it used to take them over an hour to identify, to diagnose the issues, right? To diagnose integration or application issues. And probably in the off hours and on weekends, it will be even more, right? So that can definitely affect patient care. And with our solutions, that time to diagnose issues, it dropped to 60 seconds. And we reduced the staff call-ins. So the amount of time that they had to call in for the integration and application issues by more than 70%. So that gave the clinical staff much valuable time that they need for patient care. And the CIO, I mean, he would joke that he valued our monthly check-ins, right? Like we would talk, and obviously we would talk about the strategy, what's upcoming, the projects and everything. But he said, I love it that we also have time to talk about other things. We have time to talk about sports or what's going out in the world. And it's just a way of him saying that he appreciates that we don't have to talk about issues, right? Like we actually listened, we implemented the right solutions, and it had a huge impact on the operations. So anyways, the execution, he really appreciated our team executing it really well, and obviously our partnership.
I remember being on a call with you, and a client had said you fixed problems before people knew they existed. And that was such a win across the board because it was basically a brand new metric of, hey, all these things happened and nobody knew about them, which is a great problem to have
Right.
and to be solving. But today you've got people wanting and needing AI, the automation aspect, moving things to the cloud, et cetera. How are you helping your clients adopt some of these technologies and not add technical debt to the equation?
Yeah, and by the way, I think it was James Wellman,
It was, James.
our amazing wise friend. He is so
Yeah.
loved, by the way. Like every time,
Everybody loves James.
everybody loves him. Yeah. But yeah, so back to your question. Again, I would say for us, it's never about adding technology for the sake of it, but it has to start with the problem that we are solving. And the risk with AI, automation, or cloud is that if you don't actually know the problem that you're solving or ground it in the real needs, you're just creating more technical debt, right? And so that's where, for example, our MITRE AI solution, like it doesn't add any more burden to IT or clinical staff. Like it works behind the scenes, it proactively monitors all the interfaces and applications, so it's the intelligence that actually prevents the issues before they disrupt care or before they happen, as James said. And that way, like our clients get the benefit of the new technology without the overhead or complexity that comes with it. The implementation time is so fast, right? Like, and it's EHR and engine agnostic and all that stuff. So we actually put in a lot more time to make sure it was done that way for a reason. And that's why our partners are able to say, like, hey, yes, these guys know what's happening and they are able to find issues before they happen. And that's the beauty of it. But they don't need to see that. It should be that seamless.
How are you working, Vic, with teams to overcome some of that, I think, the fear, anxiety, doubt we talk about? You've got storied interface guys. This has been their job for a long time. And now you come in and you basically automate their roles, which can be great if someone's trying to plan for someone else's retirement, needs documentation. But when there is change resistance, when you come into a client, how do you help them overcome that concern?
From day one, it's not about replacing anyone, and it's just more about doing more with less because they're already struggling, they're already burnt out, and they can't take any vacations. And even if they're taking their vacations, they're still on call. That's not the way to go. And at some point, yeah, people will just either leave, or many times I feel like some of these really experienced engineers, they're taking on early retirements, right? It's like, oh, I'm done. Like this has taken up so much of my life, so many years. So that we see that happening. But for us, it's always about building the trust. And if you don't build that trust, I feel like it always creates more hurdles for implementation, for the teams to get along. But yeah, you just have to be upfront, see how things work, how the teams will align with each other and support each other.
And for organizations that are looking to build more value. They want to create something more substantial out of their investments. What's the best way to utilize your product set that brings that immediacy to their other C-suite peers, to the board, et cetera? When you have those conversations with an organization, they're planning to put your services in place. What is the sort of genesis of what all of that looks like?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on the solution that we are talking about. But let's say if you go back to the integration or automation, I think there's always some immediate wins that you can do, especially for security. So we start with an assessment and for most of our solutions. And the assessment gives us a very in-depth view. What's working, what's not working, where the gaps are from a resources standpoint, from a technology standpoint. And then we phase it out. So the immediate wins where we can actually achieve, especially again, I would go back to security and privacy. Let's get the foundation really solid. And then let's build on it for the long term. So that's always been our strategy. It has worked. And then obviously in between all that stuff, you still have to keep the ongoing projects, the ongoing operations going. And that's where our technology aspect comes in, right? With our MITRE AI monitoring solution, that's an immediate win because as I was just saying, the implementation doesn't take very long. So once that's in place, now you have the AI watching and proactively telling us if something is not working. And that's huge because now you're preventing the burnout, not just from our team, but even if they have somebody on their existing integration team. For everybody, it's good because nobody's sitting around looking at a dashboard to see what's working, what's not working, what the errors are. That's where I think it makes sense to use AI. And I think a lot of people, even I have seen some of the CMIOs talk about this, where yes, they are CMIOs and they have obviously clinical background, but even they are saying, why don't we start AI on more non-clinical use cases? So it just makes sense. And then once that's proven, once we are at a level where we feel the comfort and we know how to actually make use of it, yes, then go on for more and more clinical use cases.
Nobody actually wants to manage the hairball that is their interface engines and all the connectivity. And yet it usually is people having to go in and check all the time. And after upgrades and changes, I also remember when you and I were on either a conversation, a call in person at some place, and one of your clients said, "Hey, we have an upgrade this week." And you're like, "Yeah, my team will be on." It was like your team is an extension of their team, as you noted. And it was just one less thing they actually had to worry about because after every change management aspect, I'm talking about like the actual IT change management piece, you've got to go and test everything out and make sure it's working. Well, your team and your monitoring took out like an extra 2 or 3 hours of post upgrade or post change, having to go and validate everything. It does it automatically. And that was such a win for so many health systems.
I think we are discovering more and more, but on average, like it increases your capacity up to 50%. And we started the whole monitoring piece selfishly. We started it for our team because we manage integration for so many health systems. And we can't have really costly engineers sitting around watching stuff. And then we also had support people doing that, but even that they were missing, right? Even if you look at the dashboard, it's not that easy to see when there is an issue because things may be connected, but it's not actually working. So we did it for our own use. And then we tweaked it. It wasn't on day one that everything was brilliant, right? It actually took many tries and we are still enhancing it as we learn more and more things. But at this point, yes, it knows how to create tickets. It knows how to close tickets. And if things are getting worse, it knows how to escalate it. Obviously, we want a senior engineer to step in when it says, yes, it's time. It's not working.
Yeah.
But it tells you exactly where the problem is. So that cut out like many hours of diagnosing right there without anybody ever having to call in. So
What do you believe is the biggest opportunity right now for health systems to use AI and operational intelligence to be more efficient and patient focused? Let's just say the next 3 years because it's all changing so fast.
3 years is a long time. So
It is now.
I'm going to, yes, I'm just going to focus on, let's say, even the next 6 months, because I see this firsthand, right? Like my engineers showing us, like as we build the AI data lake solution and MITRE AI, even on our side, how rapid the development is. So I'm just going to predict for the next very near future. And yes, there's so much talk about ambient listening and some of the other tools, but I would say, I think non-clinical use cases, we are going to see a huge explosion on that, especially like I have seen workflows where you have multiple people manually touching things at so many steps, right? It just doesn't make sense. It's very cumbersome. Did this person reply? There might be emails involved in there, and then so many different touch points. That's where I see AI kind of taking over and learning on the go and making adjustments. And then if it's even communicate with the other party automatically, it may even do that. The other part I also think is there will be more and more use cases where on the clinical side in the near future, where we will actually see the summarization of patient, right? Like the patient record, a way to click from within the EHR, pull up your app, and whether if it's summarization or ask the right questions, I feel like a lot of those apps, you will see a lot more integration of those AI apps within the EHR. So yes, the EHR will come up with their own integrations, their own AI built in, but I feel like it will get easier to integrate more external AI apps. And that's why we are also focusing on our AI data lake solution just for that reason, because we know we have been able to do that from an integration standpoint. We have been able to integrate all these amazing solutions, all these apps, right? Like there's so many amazing developers. So let's make it easier for them. That's why we are doing the same thing on the AI data lake initiative.
I'm grateful that you're giving people a roadmap of things that maybe they're not even thinking about, but they need to have on their radar. That's why a partnership with an organization like Tido becomes so valuable. Is in addition to the day-to-day operations, here's the strategic lens that you're able to look through every single day that maybe sometimes we get bogged down as healthcare executives and don't get to look through as much. Thank you for that perspective. Are you ready for speed round?
Yes, let's do it. I have no idea what these questions are.
All right. One thing that you would tell your younger self if you were starting out in healthcare IT today.
Listen more. Take a little time. Just reflect. Sit back, and it's amazing the thoughts that will come to you. But you have to give yourself a little bit more time to think. And it may look like, oh, we are slowing down, but it's actually the opposite. And I tell my team this, right? Like some of my younger engineers, and I'm like, go slow to go fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll be showing me something, and it's like, and I'm like, slow it down. You just missed this. And he's like, how did you see that? It's like, because I slowed down. I was like, you were going fast, but I was like processing it a little bit slower. And so some of the things that I did, and we had some applications that we retired that didn't work. It's fine. You always learn from your mistakes. So it's okay. I don't regret anything, but I would tell my younger self, slow it down, and you would actually go faster.
Isn't it interesting how when we're young, we're expected to somehow know and have the answer, and that's how we're rewarded because we've gone through that whole like mechanism of years and years of schooling. As we get older, we actually like to be wrong more often because we have the freedom of learning without being embarrassed about failing, I suppose. I don't know. It's all these different parameters that I totally agree with you. If you could just slow down and listen a little bit more. Thank you so much, Vik, for joining us today. I always love chatting with you and hearing about your perspectives. For those who are listening and want to learn more about your work and what Tido is doing in healthcare, where's the best place to go?
Go to titoinc.com or find us on LinkedIn. It's easy to find. I think if you Google Tido Inc., it should be pretty easy to find us.
I totally agree. And you can also find you on This Week Health, our page as well.
Yes.
You're your partner. So fantastic. And to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in. That's all for now. Thanks for joining this executive interview on Flourish with Sarah Richardson. Here at This Week Health, we believe every healthcare leader needs a community to learn from and lean on. Join us at thisweekhealth.com/subscribe. Share this conversation with an emerging leader. That's all for now.